With the release of Speak No Evil, can Blumhouse Productions finally release a good horror film this year? Hey everyone, welcome to Cinema, where we focus on a film. I'm Josh, this is Simply Cinema. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of Speak No Evil. Was it good, was it bad, or somewhere right in the middle? Or if you're waiting for this review to help you decide if you're going to see it or not, make sure to like this video if you enjoy it, subscribe if you haven't already to join in the film culture community where we talk about the love of cinema as a whole, and getting right into synopsis. When an American family travels to an idyllic country estate with this British family that they befriended on vacation, what starts as a dream vacation leads into a psychological nightmare. And getting on to the positives, starting off, I just think this is a good, solid psychological thriller that has its shock value that can work really effectively. For me, once certain things are revealed, the build-up that naturally goes about along the way feels rather normal at first, as you might expect, but gradually reveals and unveils certain ideas, certain details, and twists along the way that establishes the characters and also the story, becoming a higher tension story for how it builds upon the momentum of the music, the ideas, and how it progresses with getting to become attached to certain characters and getting the performances that are quite well done for what you're expecting out of this film, the shock value, and also how the characters react feels believable to the natural ideas that is being played out on screen. James McAvoy, he's done great performances with psychological twists along the way in the past, within Split especially, showing multiple personalities, and this plays along the same lines with that performance, but in a more simplified way. It still does effectively within this average guy, and then he slowly degrades into this certain idea, and you become more uncomfortable with his character, with what you're learning about him, just as the main family is, the American family, and you're getting these details that are just disturbing, but it feels right for the story, what it's touching on, sort of based on a real story. And this is a Danish film remake that only released back in 2022. I didn't watch that in preparation, so I wouldn't have to make a comparison going into this one, and so it does its job quite well without bias of knowing what happens in the regular one. Just pulling off some great performance, some great build-up with what it's doing with the story, getting me into the details and unveiling them little by little. And so where that pulls off the horrifying shock details, I audibly gasped within the theater, maybe once, maybe twice within this film. There's a few parts at the beginning that makes you chuckle a bit, how they're playing off the humor that feels natural to how they're establishing the characters. Once you're starting to get to know the families, certain characters they're connected with, but then it leads you into an isolated area with this estate where it's not necessarily claustrophobic within the nature of being out in the world, but it's so spread wide open with what can happen that still makes you feel scared for where they're being brought into, and not knowing exactly right away how dark the story will really get as it leads into the story, the things that go about along the way. There's certain jump scares that still feel earned to where it is taking ideas, things that just build up the natural horror of the story of people that can be like this in real life, with strangers you meet along the way, people you don't get to fully know before going into their house or feeling like you are befriending them. And so just how that works out, how they manipulate the situation, just creates a high tension and high stakes environment that really leads you into unexpected areas and things that just really twist your mind in a knot. Which takes me into the mixed elements, to which there are some aspects of the characters within the scenery that it doesn't have a whole lot to speak on, with what the voices are with the certain main characters more toward the beginning. They're not necessarily the most strong performances, while it does lead you to the end where the shock value and certain things really makes them express their acting. Certain ideas or things with the beginning, it's a little slow in certain scenes, what it's establishing, building up the characters. You do get some good scenes, but there's certain moments also that feel like they could have been cut out, maybe just a little. I'm not sure exactly how much more it established with the characters, because it also builds up the momentum that doesn't necessarily feel gradually built up until a certain point. And so with what we're getting into that, there could be questionable ideas of whether it will be better and feel quicker on rewatch, but now knowing the twist and certain ideas, certain elements, it's wondering whether it will work effectively upon rewatch, or if it's something that settles best upon just the first watch in general. And so there is something to note about this. Can be bloody and gory. It doesn't show you too much graphic details, but it still alludes to a hard case environment with what this psychological family has done in the past. So it could turn some people off depending on how turned off you are with bloody details, looking at blood, or just certain violent attacks you may be disturbed by, that may lead you away from wanting to watch this. But it still does a fine job with what it is handling on, not being too grotesque within the details or nature of the story, what it's following along. It feels believable to the natural state of where it is progressing with what they do when they're confronting the strangers. And with all that said, I have to rate Speak No Evil a simply 8 out of 10, where while they did have some horrifying moments and it shocked me generally by the end, there was a bit of a slower build up to where we're really building up with what we're getting with the characters. And so that's just my personal review on Speak No Evil. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of it. Is it good? Is it bad? Or somewhere right in the middle? Let me know all that. And if you found this review helpful and going to see it yourself, make sure to like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you haven't already to build it. Join in film culture community where we talk about the love of cinema as a whole. And that's just all. So make sure to do yourself a favor and go watch a movie.